In 2025, the relationship between HYBE and Jungkook looks very different. Observers, fans, and even market analysts point to a clear truth. HYBE no longer fully controls Jungkook. His independence, his decisions, and his growing influence prove that the balance of power has shifted. This article explores the evolving dynamic between Jungkook and HYBE, examining the proof that shows the company's control over him is not what it used to be. When Jungkook first joined Big Hit Entertainment, now HYBE, he was only a boy. As the youngest member of BTS, he followed instructions closely. His looks, his schedule, and even his words in interviews were shaped by company strategy. This was not unusual in the K-pop system, where agencies traditionally manage idols with strict authority. But Jungkook was not an ordinary idol. Over the years, his talent, charisma, and popularity grew at an exceptional pace. Slowly, he moved from being the shy youngest member to the central figure, who often stood at the front of BTS's global stage. His voice became the anchor of their music, his presence became the highlight of their performances, and his image drew attention beyond what the company could predict. This natural growth set the foundation for today's reality. Jungkook has become larger than the structure that raised him. HYBE can no longer treat him the same way they did when he was 15, because now he is a global star with influence strong enough to shape the company itself. The cracks in HYBE's control over Jungkook have been visible for some time. Several key signs demonstrate how the power dynamic has shifted. In earlier years, it was rare for BTS members to openly share opinions that differed from the company line. But Jungkook has increasingly spoken with confidence about his choices, whether in interviews, live streams, or fan interactions. His words carry massive weight, and HYBE cannot silence or redirect them without backlash. In recent years, Jungkook's movements have often surprised even fans who are used to HYBE's carefully curated announcements. His appearances sometimes feel self-directed, creating headlines that are not tied to company press releases. This suggests that Jungkook has more freedom in deciding where he goes and what he does. HYBE built its reputation on controlling the creative output of its idols. But Jungkook's solo work reflects his own direction. The style, the sound, and the collaborations carry his personal touch, indicating that HYBE now plays more of a supporting role than a controlling one. Perhaps the strongest sign is how the public now views Jungkook. Many people talk about him not only as BTS's Jungkook, but as Jungkook, a standalone figure. This change in perception reduces HYBE's ability to frame his image, because the world recognizes him independently of the company. The dynamic is not just about Jungkook's independence, it is also about HYBE's reliance on him. In the business world, it is clear that Jungkook's name alone can move markets. When he makes headlines, HYBE's stock prices often respond. When he is active, the company benefits. When he is quiet, the absence is felt. This reliance creates a paradox. HYBE once controlled Jungkook to maximize his value, but now his value is so large that the company depends on him. If they attempt to restrict him too tightly, they risk damaging the very force that sustains them. Investors, fans, and media alike recognize this reality. HYBE may own the management contract, but the true power lies with Jungkook. Another layer that weakens HYBE's control is the role of fans. ARMY has always been a driving force for BTS, but with Jungkook, their loyalty feels even more protective. Whenever HYBE makes moves that fans interpret as limiting him, immediate backlash follows. Hashtags trend worldwide, demanding Jungkook's freedom or praising his independence. This dynamic means that HYBE cannot simply impose decisions without considering fan reaction. In many ways, the fans act as a shield, ensuring that Jungkook's voice remains strong and his autonomy respected. For the company, this is a delicate balance they must manage without appearing to suppress. Beyond the business and strategy lies a quieter, more emotional truth. Jungkook has grown. He is no longer the young boy introduced to the public in 2013. He is a man in his late 20s, shaped by years of experience, mistakes, triumphs, and global recognition. Fans who have followed him since debut can feel this transformation. They see someone who now carries himself with confidence, someone who knows what he wants, and someone who is not afraid to step outside the boundaries of company direction. That natural growth is something HYBE cannot stop, no matter how powerful their system may be. There is even a sense of inevitability in this. Every artist, at some point, must find their own voice. For Jungkook, that moment has arrived, and it shows in the way he interacts with both HYBE and the public. So where does this leave HYBE? The company now faces a unique challenge: how to manage an artist who is both their biggest asset and the one they cannot fully control. If they try to enforce strict control, they risk alienating fans and weakening Jungkook's trust. If they allow him more freedom, he may pursue directions that benefit him more than the company. Either way, the traditional label system where the company dictates and the artist follows no longer applies. Jungkook has outgrown it. For HYBE, the task now is not to control, but to adapt. They must position themselves not as Jungkook's master, but as his partner. Anything less risks breaking the fragile balance. The turning point came when BTS shifted into solo projects. For Jungkook, this was the first time the world could clearly see how his artistry looked outside HYBE's group-centered strategies. His solo work revealed something undeniable. He had a voice and direction strong enough to stand apart. Today, the relationship between Jungkook and HYBE feels like a constant negotiation. On one side, HYBE still manages contracts, schedules, and official releases. On the other, Jungkook has influence strong enough to bend or even override the company's decisions. Company priorities versus personal direction. HYBE, as a corporation, prioritizes profit, structure, and brand consistency. Jungkook, as an artist, seeks expression, freedom, and authenticity. These two forces often align but sometimes clash. Every move HYBE makes with Jungkook is under intense scrutiny. Fans interpret silence, restrictions, or mismanagement as attempts to limit him. This makes HYBE cautious, knowing that a single wrong step could damage its relationship with both Jungkook and his supporters. Jungkook may technically still be under HYBE's management, but the truth is reversed. HYBE needs him as much as, if not more than, he needs HYBE. This delicate balance is why control has shifted. One of the clearest proofs that HYBE cannot fully control Jungkook is in the financial world. HYBE is a publicly traded company, and its stock price is influenced by news related to BTS members. When Jungkook makes headlines, whether through performances, interviews, or personal milestones, there are noticeable ripples in HYBE's market value. Investors treat him not just as an idol, but as a financial driver. This changes the power dynamic. HYBE may want to control Jungkook's appearances or projects, but the market itself pressures them to allow him freedom because his activity directly benefits the company's value. In this sense, Jungkook has become too important to be restrained. Another major factor is Fanpower. ARMY has long been central to BTS's success, but with Jungkook, their protective nature is especially strong. When HYBE is seen as withholding information or restricting Jungkook, fans quickly react. Social media movements trend within hours, defending Jungkook's independence and demanding transparency from the company. HYBE cannot ignore this. The risk of fan backlash is too high. In this way, fans serve as a counterbalance to corporate control. Jungkook's relationship with ARMY ensures that he has a direct line of support that bypasses HYBE altogether. If the company attempts to control him too much, fans will side with him, not with the label. At its core, the story is not about conflict, but about growth. Jungkook is not the same boy who entered HYBE as a teenager. He is now an experienced artist in his late 20s, with a voice strong enough to command global attention. The truth is that control no longer fits him. He has matured into someone who can make decisions about his own career. He has gained enough experience to understand what works and what doesn't. He has earned the respect of fans and peers, making him credible as an independent figure. For HYBE, this means that the old system of authority cannot apply to him anymore. Their role has shifted from controller to collaborator. The challenge for HYBE is not whether they can control Jungkook. They clearly cannot in the way they used to, but how they will adapt. Their options are limited. This risks backlash from fans and possibly from Jungkook himself, damaging their most valuable relationship. This may reduce the company's influence, but could strengthen trust with both Jungkook and the public. The most realistic path is to shift into a partnership model, where HYBE provides resources and support while Jungkook leads his own direction. Whichever path they choose, one truth remains. HYBE no longer dictates Jungkook's every move. That era is over. For fans, there is something deeply emotional about this story. They remember the teenager who once followed company instructions with quiet determination. They remember his nervous interviews, his shy smiles, and the way he leaned on his older members for guidance. Now they see a man who stands at the center of the world stage, making choices for himself. It is a transformation filled with pride, but also a reminder that growth means change. The boy HYBE once controlled has become a star who cannot be contained. And perhaps that is the most powerful proof of all. So, can HYBE still control Jungkook? The evidence points to a clear answer: no. From financial influence to fan power, from creative independence to personal growth, Jungkook has stepped beyond the boundaries of the company's control. HYBE may remain his management label, but the relationship has shifted irreversibly. Jungkook is no longer simply an idol shaped by HYBE. He is an artist, a man, and a global figure whose decisions carry more weight than the company's authority. The proof is not just in isolated events, it is in the entire trajectory of his career.